Hi, my name's Danny and I write a blog called The Food Urchin, and I also write for Great British Chefs. So, like a lot of people at Christmas time, I have a tendency to overindulge. What with all those goodies within arm's reach, it's hard to resist, especially if you're a greedy little sausage like me. As a result, I often fall victim to a touch of heartburn and indigestion. If this sounds familiar, I'm going to show you how to create a festive treat for all the family. A dish that is no less delicious, mind, it's just a little bit lighter. Now then, everything begins with the brisket. It's a nice lean cut of meat that does well with slow cooking. So now that I've seasoned everything, I'm going to give this a good flashing in the pan with just a touch of oil. And the whole reason behind this is just to brown everything over, give it a good caramelization before we start cooking, because that's going to give us the good foundation for this dish. So what I'm doing here is I'm deglazing the pan, okay? I've added just a little bit of wine, and the whole point here is to get rid of all those crispy bits that formed on the bottom of the pan, because that's all extra bits of flavour that we don't want to be missing from the final dish. Get as much of that juice out of the pan, and if there's any residue left in there, we're just going to simply wipe that out with some kitchen towel. Next stage now, we need to start sweating down our onions, carrots, celery and garlic, just so that everything starts to soften, starts to brown and caramelise, and we get the natural sugars start to come through to the surface. So whilst my vegetables are sweating down and getting nicely caramelised, I'm going to make a Bouquet Garni. Now this is just a collection of aromatics that are going to improve the flavour. I'm going to tie together some bay, some parsley and some thyme, and I'm going to wrap some string around it so it's easy to take out the dish afterwards. Gently sit on top. Let's not forget all that glorious cooking juice that we got from deglazing the pan. I just need to add some stock and some wine. Right, so we're just about coming up for 3 hours with the brisket in the oven now. Okay, so we're going to be bringing it out very shortly, but before we do, there's just a couple of more bits that we need to do. Number one is to peel our parsnips. And what I'm going to do then with that is to make some parsnip crisps. Now these are very simple, very easy to do, and they take about 10 to 15 minutes in the oven. Just a teaspoon, that's all you need, of sunflower oil. Pepper goes really well with parsnips. And we just want to spread them out all over the baking tray. Now the oven needs to be at 200 degrees centigrade. You need to pop them in for about 10 to 15 minutes, checking halfway through just to flip them over and just mix them up a bit more so they get evenly crisped up. Right, so moving swiftly on to the mash, which I've already cooked in some boiling salted water. Basically, I have chopped up some Maris pipers and I've added some celeriac. And basically, just to make sure we get everything nice and creamy, I'm going to pass the mashed potato through a ricer and squeeze everything out. It's as easy as that. And just to smooth things out a bit more, we just need to add a little bit of butter and some warmed up milk. So what I need to do now is just hoist the brisket out of the gravy. And I want to cover that with foil just so that it rests for a bit. And then we can get on with the business end of preparing the gravy. But before I do, I just need to fish out that Bouquet Garni. Here's a little trick for you. I'm going to add just a couple of anchovy fillets. Now, what that's going to do is just add an extra dimension of flavour, that extra oomph of umami that's going to carry through the dish. Now, ordinarily, if you follow recipes or if you've seen any chefs in action, you'll see that they take the vegetables out of the gravy. They actually strain them out. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave them in when I blitz it because I feel it adds extra body and just a bit more character to the gravy. Again, if I was a chef, I would strain this through a chinois or a very fine mesh, but no, I'm going to keep it like this because I like the kind of the rustic feel that this gravy is going to give. So there you have it, a fantastic festive dish that is packed full of flavour without going overboard on the richness.